Welcome to the Bridge Church Midweek podcast. We exist to connect people with others and God. We hope this week's episode helps you do just that. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Bridge Church Midweek podcast. This is Pastor Blake. I'm the student and groups pastor at our Waukesha campus. Thank you so much for listening today as we talk about our SOAP reading of the day. If you're not familiar with our SOAP plan or where you can find that, you can always head online to bridgechurch.net and check out our SOAP guide. SOAP stands for Scripture, Observation, Application, and Prayer. And today we are in Joshua 9. And so I just want to share a quick devotional with you today over our SOAP reading. And if you're not in it, that's great. I will give you a little catch up. We are entering a spot where we see Joshua is on this military campaign. He is just taken over with the Lord's help. It's a very successful one. He's making a name for the Israelites simply just by following the Lord's commands. He's being obedient in what he is supposed to be doing. And in turn, the Lord is providing victory after victory. The Israelites had just defeated a few different places, and Joshua renews this covenant with God on this moment. It's just an amazing time for the Israelites of what's happening, what God is doing. They are like all powerful on this rampage right now, taking over, and people are taking notice. God is helping them win, and Joshua is simply listening, and he's being obedient, and people are restoring their covenant with God. It's like an all-time spiritual high. It's like we just got back from camp, and at camp you experience this mountaintop moment with God, just being able to be away from all the distractions and with him, and that's what's happening with the Israelites, is that they are experiencing this mountaintop moment as God is just providing over and over for them, so much so that they're just in awe of what he's doing. And so that's where we enter in chapter 9. Kings are around the area. They've heard about what Joshua is doing, and some of them decide that they want to try to form a treaty with the Israelites. And so they're petitioning for that. But one group actually decides, the Gibeonites decide to try to trick him. And so what they do is that after hearing about everything that they've done, they devise this plan to get some moldy bread and to get some drinks that are stale and old in their cloths. They make sure they get some old clothes on, and they ride up on their donkeys to Joshua. And this is what they say. They say, "We have come from a distant country. Make a treaty with us." And at that moment, the trap is set, right? Because they're approaching Joshua. Joshua is just coming off these military campaigns where everything is going so good. And the good news is the Israelites don't say yes immediately, but they do some almost investigative journalism where they're kind of looking around. They're trying to see if this is true or not, if their bread is moldy and the sackcloths are old and all these things. And they come to the conclusion, them alone, and that's the important part, they come to the conclusion that the Gibeonites are telling the truth. And what really sold it is the Gibeonites, as they're asking for favor, they're asking for protection. We're from a distant country, just make a treaty with us. They actually start to brag about the Israelites. They said, "For we have heard reports of him, all that he has done." They're talking about the God that they serve in verse 9. At the end of it there, they're saying, "Listen, we know this God you serve. We've heard his reports. We've heard about what he's done for you. We've heard about what you're doing. And so you need to make a treaty with us." And I know for me personally, when things are going really well, we can allow this mindset to kind of just seep in, even without us being fully aware of it, that it starts to become, "Oh, look at what I have done. Oh, look at how great this idea was," or "Look at how great things are going. That has to be because of all my hard work or all of the things that I have put forth," as opposed to giving credit to God, giving glory to him. And it's when we get that promotion at work, or our marriage is going awesome, or like your kids are actually listening to you, like the bills are being paid, and we can slip into a sense of independence that really God warns us about. that it's never our own wisdom or never our own power that pushes us through the days, but it's a dependence upon God. And so Joshua is coming off this mountaintop moment of defeating nation after nation, and his people are happy and they're actually listening to him. Like, he is running the Israelites. Everything, all systems go. Things are going great. And in verse 14 of this chapter, it says, the Israelites sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord. So they did the research themselves. They came back. They found out that whatever they wanted to believe, they believed, but they never asked the Lord of it. And what that shows us is our wisdom will always be inferior to the God of the universe, the God that we serve. And it's easy for us to sit back and think that we would never fall into that trap of not inquiring of the Lord. But so many times when things are going great, we say, you know what, we got this. It's really when bad things happen that most of the time people turn back to God, saying, God, I need your help in this situation. I don't know what to do. That sometimes inquiring of the Lord is the last option. But what Joshua 9 is sharing with us is that should always be our first option. That with any decision that we have to be made or anything in life, really, that we need to be seekers of God's wisdom, because it will always go before our own. Man, that when we try to be God in our decision making, or we try to take things into our own hands, typically it doesn't go that well. It might go okay, but really when we choose to dive into what God has for us is when the best things in life happen. And I think a simple prayer that we can pray is, Lord, let your will be done. God, that we simply want to be people that listen and obey you, for you alone are good. And I think as we're wrapping up our devotional today, something that I see happening in Joshua 9 is that the Gibeonites, they were deceptive. They were deceptive, but that's not really where a lot of the blame gets placed in this chapter. The blame gets placed on Joshua and the Israelites for not seeking the Lord. And the world is always going to do what the world does. The world is always going to put things out that are worldly. And it's not our job as Christians to necessarily raise our fists and shake them and yell at the world for being the world. We shouldn't be surprised by the world for being worldly. Instead, we should choose to embrace the one who gives us life, the one who gives us peace, the source of our joy and our strength. And that should be what we rely on and turn our attention to. That in the moments where we do feel frustrated, it's, God, help me with my frustration towards these people, or help me with my frustration towards whatever it is that we're so upset about that the world has wronged us for. Because the Gibeonites did something wrong. They lied. But Joshua didn't seek the Lord in those moments. And so today, I just want to encourage you with this. Man, we serve a God who is so wise beyond our imagination, and he gives us that wisdom. And so we can continually pray for wisdom, for a deeper reliance upon him, knowing that anything we do in our own power will never be as good as what God has for us. And then the second thing is that, man, the world is going to be what the world is, but we serve a God who is so much greater than that, and we can rest in him today. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great rest of your week.